There's a reason that they call Donald Trump No Deals Donald, or some people refer to him as a taco. Trump always chicken outs. That doesn't just apply to his trade policy. It applies to his foreign policy in general as well. And you see the chaotic, incoherent policies of Trump at play with his negotiations between the United States and Iran, where Iran is like totally punking him, and they're saying, we have no clue what the United States is even proposing, and they're constantly changing things. And then you have Donald Trump caving and like giving up key negotiating points in order just to try to make a deal. And then he tries to like pull those terms back via social media posts. Like, let me try to break down what's going on with Donald Trump's negotiations with Iran. Let me bring some receipts as well. So the headline, Trump caves, U.S. nuclear deal with Iran being proposed by the Trump regime. It allows Iran to enrich uranium, which was a bright line that Donald Trump and all these MAGA Republicans said that they were never going to, that they would never cross, right? When Donald Trump's been attacking former President Obama's deal with Iran, which was known as the JCPOA, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. It was with the United States, United Kingdom, France, China, Russia, and Germany, along with Iran. Yes, you see Obama brought in all of these other countries into the deal. The part that Trump and all of the MAGA Republicans attacked Obama for was, you're still allowing some uranium enrichment to take place. And if you allow some, Iran's going to run with it and basically void the deal. One of the other aspects that former President Obama was attacked by Donald Trump and others for is saying that the monitoring and verification process was not strong and robust enough. So Trump pulled during his first term, pulled the United States out of the deal with Iran to stop Iran from having nuclear weapons. And basically what Donald Trump, what at least it's been reported that Donald Trump's regime has been proposing to Iran is a weaker, more watered down version of the Obama deal with Iran, that all of the MAGA Republicans were saying it's the worst thing ever and it would allow Iran to continue enriching uranium. So then Donald Trump had to come out with a post with exclamation points saying, absolutely not. We will never allow them to enrich uranium. And it just goes back to this whole idea of this chaos. Like, who's running this? Who's negotiating these deals? Who knows what the hell is going on? Because with all of these things, what we hear time and time again from other countries, whether it's Japan, whether it's India, whether it's the European Union, is they have no clue what Trump is even asking for, like what the negotiations are even about, because it's just constantly changing over and over again. So at first, Axios got the scoop that this U.S. nuclear deal with Iran allows Iran to enrich uranium at low levels and doesn't include the full dismantlement of the nuclear facilities, which all the Republicans said that Trump was definitely going to get, that there would be no more enrichment at all. As our editor-in-chief, Ron Filipkowski, says, this combined with a Reuters report that Iran was about to reject Trump's previous proposal indicates that Taco Trump has made an appearance at the Iran nuke talks and he is caving. Just go through this Axios article, which lists the terms of this deal with Iran for a moment. The nuclear deal proposal the U.S. gave Iran over the weekend would allow limited low-level uranium enrichment on Iranian soil for a to-be-determined period of time, Axios has learned. Steve Witkoff and Marco Rubio were allegedly involved in these discussions. It goes on to talk about how Iran won't be allowed to develop domestic enrichment capabilities beyond those necessary for civilian purposes. After signing the agreement, Iran will have to temporarily reduce its enrichment concentration to 3%. This period will be agreed upon in negotiations. Iran's underground enrichment facilities will have to become non-operational. According to the proposal, the agreement will establish a strong system for monitoring and verification, including immediate approval of the IAEA's additional protocol. And again, you just compare this to former President Obama's JCPOA. And what I just read for you is a more watered down version. In the JCPOA, Iran committed to robust inspections by the IAEA, including access to declared nuclear facilities and supply chains. So what did Donald Trump do after this news broke? Donald Trump then started posting, "No, you're wrong. I'm not supportive of this." His post is, "The auto pen should have stopped Iran a long time ago from, quote, enriching under our potential agreement. We will not allow any enrichment of uranium." And he puts that all in caps. So then Iranian officials are saying the nuclear proposal by the U.S. is, quote, incoherent and disjointed, as sources warn talks momentum is collapsing. And this is how Iran basically characterizes things. They go, the fact that the Americans constantly change their positions has so far been the main obstacle to the success of the talks, and now makes the work more difficult than ever. The text is clearly in conflict with the latest agreement reached during the 5th round of negotiations, is what this Iranian official says. You keep on changing the terms. We don't know what you're even asking for at this time. As this one account says, Trump walked away from the Obama-Iran deal, and his deal is going to be slightly worse. And so is MAGA going to praise him now as a great deal maker for just doing Obama's deal, but a worse deal? And then Congress member Eric Swalwell says, I love that Trump is going copy and paste on Obama's Iran nuclear deal, which Trump backed out of during his first term. This account right here at the main wonk, love this guy's work. He says, good outline of Trump's Iran proposal as reported, and comparing it to Obama. It's quite literally Obama's Iran nuke deal, the JCPOA, except the JCPOA was stronger when it came to enforcement mechanisms. Now, the leader of Iran, Ayatollah Khamenei, had been posting a lot about Donald Trump not being a serious negotiator and basically mocking Donald Trump on social media. Ayatollah Khamenei on May 17, 2025 says, Trump said he wants to use power for peace. He's lying. Some of the remarks made during the U.S. president's trip to the region, that's when Trump went to Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and UAE. Some of the remarks made during Trump's trip to the region aren't even worth a response at all, Khamenei says. The level of those remarks is so low that they are a source of shame for the American nation. Then on May 20th, 2025, Ayatollah Khamenei writes, he goes, the reason the U.S. insists so much on direct negotiations is to claim that they've been able to bring Iran to the negotiating table using threats, inducements, and tricks. We won't allow that. Then he says indirect negotiations took place. Needless to say, there was no result. We don't think these negotiations will yield results now either. We don't know what will happen. That's May 20th, 2025. He also writes, for the Americans to say we won't allow Iran to enrich uranium is utter nonsense. We aren't waiting for anyone's permission. The Islamic Republic has certain policies and it will pursue them. I'd like to give a reminder to the other side. The Americans who are talking in these indirect negotiations should avoid talking nonsense. For them to say we won't allow Iran to enrich uranium is utter nonsense. And so what we saw was Iran pulling out of the nuclear discussions, Trump desperately trying to make a deal. He's been saying, I want to make a deal. I got to make a deal. So then obviously a deal was proposed to Iran, which allowed nuclear uranium enrichment from Iran. And then once that was reported that Donald Trump was a taco, Trump always chickens out, and that Trump is caving, Trump then goes on Truth Social, his social media platform and says, we will not allow them to enrich uranium. And this is just what we see over and over again with Donald Trump. Hey, Midas Mighty. So I used to have no clue what to get my mom for Mother's Day. And she'd often hit me with you don't have to get me anything, but I wanted to get her something incredible. I didn't really know where to go though. And now it's my wife's first Mother's Day since we had our baby girl, Jimena, together. And so she also said, I don't really want anything for Mother's Day, but I want to make sure I get her something extra special. And so for both my mom and my wife, I shop at Quince. And I hope you shop at Quince too. So they've got everything from cashmere sweaters from $50, 14 karat gold jewelry, Italian leather bags, fragrances, and more. And here's the thing. All Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. By partnering directly with the top factories, Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and passes on the savings to us. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes. I love that. I don't want to fully reveal the secret yet of what I got my mom, but I got her an incredible necklace and I got my wife an incredible set of earrings. I also got my mom a suitcase from Quince. This way, when she visits me and her granddaughter, Jimena, she travels in style. So thank you, Quince, for that. Thoughtful, timeless, totally her. Shop Mother's Day at Quince. Go to quince.com/Midas for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/Midas, MEIDAS, to get free shipping and 365-day returns. That's quince.com/Midas, QUINCE.com/Midas. Let me share this with you. MAGA Republican Senator Tom Cotton, here he is back on May 8th. And here he talks about, look, Trump's going to do a strong deal. He's not going to allow Iran to enrich uranium. But the deal that Trump was going to do before he just got mocked for it would have allowed Iran to enrich uranium. Here's what Tom Cotton said. Play this clip.
Well, Brian, President Trump has been very clear about this for 10 years since he first entered politics. Iran can never be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. This is the 7th anniversary of one of the best and most important decisions President Trump made in his first term, which is to withdraw the United States from the disastrous Obama nuclear deal. Now, he's trying to get a better deal, the deal, as he said over the weekend, which is the total dismantlement of their nuclear program. There's no reason for Iran to enrich uranium. As Secretary Rubio has said, if they enrich to the lowest levels, they can enrich to the highest levels. So they have to totally dismantle their program. And President Trump has been very clear. He's willing to sit down. He's willing to get a good, strong deal, but he's also not going to let the Iranians tap him along as they continue to enrich uranium and get closer to a bomb.
Now, here's what MAGA Republican Senator Ted Cruz had to say also. Play this clip.
I got to say, Mark, that there's a real contrast between the strength that President Trump has shown with respect to Iran and the weakness and appeasement that Joe Biden showed for 4 years. The first term, President Trump took on Iran directly, pulled out of the disastrous Obama-Iran nuclear deal. He ended the civilian nuclear waivers. He ended the oil waivers. And the result, maximum pressure, put the Iranian economy into free fall. Their oil sales fell from 1 million barrels a day of oil down all the way down to 300,000 barrels of oil.
Now, I want to show you how thirsty, how weak and pathetic, in my opinion, Donald Trump looks. So back on May 15th, 2025, when Donald Trump was in the Middle East, he said that he thinks the U.S. is close to doing a nuclear deal with Iran. He said, we're very close to getting this deal done, and it's basically about to happen. Remember when he said this? Play this clip.
And you probably read today the story about Iran has sort of agreed to the terms. They're not going to make, I call it in a friendly way, nuclear dust. We're not going to be making any nuclear dust in Iran. And we've been strong. I want them to succeed. I want them to end up being a great country, frankly, but they can't have a nuclear weapon. That's the only thing. It's very simple. It's not like I have to give you 30 pages worth of details. There's only one sentence: they can't have a nuclear weapon.
And then at that same trip, he's like, I really want to make a deal with Iran. I really want to make a deal with them. But do you see how weak this is that he's projecting? here he touts what he's doing. Here, play this clip.
I want to make a deal with Iran. I want to do something if it's possible. But for that to happen, it must stop sponsoring terror, halt its bloody proxy wars, and permanently and verifiably cease its pursuit of nuclear weapons. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. I don't imagine there's anybody at this table or anybody in this room that would say they can. I'm strongly urging all nations to join us in fully and totally enforcing the sanctions that I just placed on Iran, and we also placed secondary sanctions, which are in certain ways even more devastating. Iran, as you know, had no money when I left office. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for Hezbollah. There was no attack. There was no thought of attack. There would have been no attack if I were president.
Now, about 7 years ago or so, here's what Donald Trump said when he terminated Obama's deal with Iran. Here, play this clip.
The so-called Iran deal was supposed to protect the United States and our allies from the lunacy of an Iranian nuclear bomb, a weapon that will only endanger the survival of the Iranian regime. In fact, the deal allowed Iran to continue enriching uranium and, over time, reach the brink of a nuclear breakout.
So when you put all of this together, it's a microcosm, I think, of just the larger issue here. And we're seeing it. It's not just like taco, Trump always chickens out. It's not just that he caves. It truly is that it is incoherent what they are asking for. And because they constantly change what their views and opinions are based on Donald Trump waking up and making a social media post, there's very little clarity out there. And that's what we've heard time and time again in all of these trade negotiations, which is, what are the terms that the U.S. is agreeable to or not agreeable to? And then will the U.S. abide by those terms, or are they just making it up, and are they changing it? And I read from you Ayatollah Khamenei's post where he's saying that they're not going to give up enriching uranium. So if they're not going to give up enriching uranium, and even though Trump seemed to be okay with them agreeing to enrich a small amount of uranium for civilian use, but now Trump's saying he's not for that, what the hell is happening? And I think it's also important to note one of the things that was said there, though, is that, see, Trump just wants U.S.-Iran negotiations one-on-one. You see, former President Obama was smart, and he said, U.S. can't do this alone if you actually want to enforce it. So that's why Obama brought in all these other countries to the table: China, United Kingdom, France, even Russia, Germany, back in 2015, in order to have a coalition, if you will, oversee this. Versus, I think just doing it one-on-one is probably very difficult. But Trump's isolated the U.S. from everybody at this point. So anyway, I hope that gives you a comprehensive understanding of what's taking place. Let me know. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.